All right, so here we are on an iPhone. I believe this app is only for iOS, but it's called Fountain. You can see it down there at the bottom, this one right here. Boopity boop, boop, boop. If I tap on it, it's going to open up Fountain, the podcast player. Now I have an account here. You can see I have a profile. Barely have any followers, but this is a podcast player app. You can search for podcasts like this. Search for podcasts, people, or clips. I can search for Stoicism, and I can find Stoicism podcasts. In fact, there's my show right there, pretty highly ranked. It is actually pretty popular on this platform because I've ran some ads for it on this platform. And, you tap on one of these, and you can play an episode, and it's, like a podcast player. Exactly what you would expect. There it is. You can also run ads. So the first part of running an ad on Fountain is to be able to claim your own podcast, which you would do by going to your profile, and if I can remember how to do this. Don't know if I can remember how to do this. I'll link to a video that'll walk you through this. I'm not going to waste time here. But you'll claim your podcasts on Fountain so that they know you own them. And they'll show up when you tap on that little RSS icon that these are the podcasts that I own. And so once you do that, you'll click on the podcast you own, let's say Practical Stoicism, and then I have a promotion tab right there on the left. You can see it over here, saved episodes, clips, promotions, and I can promote my podcast. Now, Fountain is a little bit unique because Fountain is a crypto-enabled podcast player. So one of the things you can do is, you see that button that says Boost? Well, if I tap that button, I can, that's how you claim a podcast. I won't link to anything. Instead, I'll show you that if you tap on any podcast like this one and you go to boost it, so find your podcast, click the boost button and click claim podcast. You'll then enter the email address in the RSS feed, which is the one you set up in Sounder, and you'll get a verification email, and then you will own, quote unquote, own this podcast. Then you can come to your profile, select the podcast, go to promotions, and click promote your show. Now, like I was saying, this is a crypto-enabled podcast app, which means people can use it to send boosts or tips. Now, the tips are not very much, okay? So you tip in something called Satoshi. 50 Satoshi is 1 American penny. So this is not a great money-making play, but it's not a bad idea to have your podcast on this platform because you can make a little money, but to give you some idea of just how much money you can make to really drive this point home, if I go to my earnings down here in my wallet, I've set up a crypto wallet. I'm not going to go over that. You can figure that out on your own. But I've made 71,476 sats, which are Satoshi, which are fractional Bitcoins. If I tap that, it's going to show me how much it's worth. Feels like a lot, is not a lot. I've made $14.35. And if I look at all-time earnings here in the podcast income section, you can see that I've earned 13,000 Satoshi, which we know is not going to be an awful lot given that 71,000 is only $14, and that's from 153 supporters. So 153 supporters have been so kind as to join together over the course of, 3 months now to give me a whopping what is probably $4. So this is not a great place to make money, but it is a good place to advertise, and you have to have your podcast on it to advertise. So claim your podcast on it and run an ad. So we'll go back to the profile. We'll click on our podcast, select the one we want to advertise for, go to promotions, click promote your podcast. It's going to ask you how you want to promote it. Do you want to promote the show itself so that every time the ad shows, it's just going to promote the show with the most recent episode? Or do you want to promote a specific episode, maybe your best performing? Or do you want to promote a clip from a specific episode, something that's really ear-catching? Well, you get to make that decision. I like to select promote show, so it's just always the most recent episode, and then I hit continue. The promotional budget you can slide from $50 to $5,000, which means the lowest you can get in for is $50, which feels pretty good. We don't mind that. I'll spend $50. That feels like some dispensable income that I could justify a test with. And then max earnings per episode in sats. So this is the most sats that someone can earn for listening to your episode. I put that down at 100 sats because I'm not going to pay for somebody to listen to my episode. So I'll leave that at 0.015. Now here's the thing. You have to have those sats available to pay the person listening to it. So yeah, you might want to play with this. It might cost you a little more than the $50 in sats. I actually usually leave it around 1,000 sats, which is only about 5 cents. That's what you're paying somebody to hit play on your ad. At least I think that's how it works. I can't quite get it to where I want, but we'll make it 1,100. So the minimum listener reach for $50 and then cents is 302, and the cost per listen is going to be about 16 cents, which you can see goes up or down. So I guess we're pulling sats from the promotional budget. We want somebody to listen because they're interested in listening. We don't want someone to listen because they're interested in making money. So we'll keep that at 1,000 sats, and we'll hit purchase promotion. I'm actually not going to do that, hopefully. Yeah, let's not do that. But you're going to see that it will take you to a payment portal page, much as those other platforms do. I'm going to go ahead and maybe back out from that. I don't know why it's taking a while to do that. So I'll go ahead and close it and reopen it. But it would take you to a payment portal, and you'll make your payment with Apple Pay or your debit card or however you wish. And then in about 48 hours, it takes 2 or so days for the ad to be approved. You'll then see the ad run. And once you're done with that, once the ad is running, you can go back to the podcast, you can go to promotions again, and you can see the promotions that you've run or have run in the past or are currently running. So I can open this one and see that I spent $50, $40 of which went towards the actual budget, which is 171,000 sats, and I set my max earnings per episode to 500 sats. I spent 172,000 sats, which is a little bit more than my budget. I got 3,695 impressions, and I gained 667 listens. Now, this platform doesn't tell you how many of those 667 listens became followers or permanent subscribers. But I can go back to my profile and go to my podcast. Go to my podcast, or rather maybe a better view is to go to my wallet. And I can see that if I go to all time, that I have 153 supporters on Practical Stoicism. So I could interpret that as 153 listeners, regular listeners, whereas Dictionary of Mythology and Folklore 91, Good Morning Podcasters, I've actually never run an ad for on here, so it's not surprising I only have 4. And you also get, like, when boosts come in, you get little comments. Thanks for the podcast. Nice, man. Top. Muscles. Something in a language I don't speak, which I think is Thai. Greetings from Thomas. Great show. Enjoy your trip, because I was in Texas at the time. So there's also some messages you get when people send you boosts, which is cool. When people tip you 10 sats, which is 2 cents, so I'm not going to jump through any hoops to get that kind of money, but it's cool that you get some interaction and people can throw you a couple cents. Maybe that feels interesting. And that is how you run an ad campaign on Fountain. How do I feel this performs? I feel like if you could spend $100 on Fountain every month, I think that for somebody just getting started, that's probably a great place to start, because it's going to be more affordable than Player FM by far. It's going to be more affordable than Overcast or Podcast Addict by far. $100, drive for Uber one Saturday a month, and you should be able to come up with a budget to do that. So I would start on Fountain. I think that's a great entry point. If you're ready to spend a little bit more than that, I would go to Overcast. And if you're ready to spend a lot more than that, I would go to Player.fm. There are some additional options, so we'll do that in the next video, and that is up next.